Welcome back to CyberBytes. I'm your host, Stefan Foley. Today's guest is Pavel, CEO and co-founder of Tenzai. Pavel's journey is one of the most compelling in cybersecurity, from the Israel Defense Forces to founding Guardicore, scaling its acquisition by Akamai, and now doing it all over again with Tenzai. In this episode, we get into what it actually takes to build from zero to a global enterprise exit, how building a company today looks nothing like it did 10 years ago, and what's up next for Tenzai. Let's get into it.
Cool. Well, great. It's fantastic to have Pavel, who is the co-founder and CEO of Tenzai. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Good stuff. When did you get into Vegas this week?
Oh gosh, Sunday, but it feels like it's been a long couple of days so far. So
as we're discussing, right? Yeah, time zone challenges up front. Anyway, it was fantastic to have you on. Where I like to start the podcast is rewind the clock. We've got a very interesting background that we'll dig into a bit more on the show. But yeah, where did it all start? Talk us through the journey.
Well, my personal journey, I guess, entrepreneurial stuff started at a company called Guardicore that we founded. That was building a modern take on the firewall. So software-based, no boxes, no physical appliances. Build a team, build a business. About 300 people, globally, with some tremendous customers and good traction. And then got acquired by Akamai. Went in there, spent almost 4 years in Akamai. Working on the enterprise security product, so like the non-web related stuff, and it's been super fun. Akamai is a great place. Many times these acquisitions don't work out, but Akamai has been a great home for Guardicore, and it's a great company to be at. So I spent almost 4 years there, and then decided that it'd probably be a good time to take a break and just. I have 3 girls, so spend time with them and my wife, and we planned a year-long vacation, all sorts of traveling that we wanted to do, and we started, and then about half a year in, kind of found myself in another company, and Tenzai. Which is where I'm at now, with 4 co-founders, 3 of whom I've been working with for a very long time in Guardicore, and even before that, and another one is new. We met when we were starting the company, so it was great. And the fundamental idea is we felt that there is a real opportunity to use what we thought AI will become. At some point, we didn't see it as fast as it actually happened, to be able to find vulnerabilities in applications, in networks, in products, in environments, so we can fix them faster. And at some point, we understood that, okay, maybe we don't have another 6 months to travel the world. We just take it easy, and if we want to build it, now is the time.
That's the time.
So we did that, and it was a year and a quarter ago, give or take.
Yeah, amazing. And there's a couple of things I want to dig into this journey. Where did it start? So were you born in Israel, in the forces? Is that the journey, or?
I was born in Moscow, actually, and immigrated to Israel with my family when I was 8. So started 2nd grade in Israel, and then went through kind of the standard Israeli process when you get into national service.
Yeah.
I spent a bunch of time there, and even before the service, I was doing pen testing just as a freelancer.
Okay.
Back then, teenagers were the threat, and so I was hired to test networks, and I've seen a whole bunch of networks from the outside in, and then sort of that started my cybersecurity career.
There you go.
And then I just could not resist the opportunity to build a synthetic hacker, like AI-based agent that can go and hack. Was something I just could not say no to, like, personally.
Yeah.
And
full circle, right?
Full circle for me, like super engaged and fun, and so it was a project that, like, for myself, I had to do. And so that's kind of how it started.
And then Guardicore, obviously most people are going to be familiar with that business and the successful acquisition with Akamai. It'd be great to understand, like, how did that journey come about? Was that your first time founding? Talk us more around that journey in the start.
We left the service and Ariel, my co-founder, and I just said, okay, it's kind of a lot of us in Israel. You leave and let's build a company. We can completely no clue what does it really mean and what does it take and what's going to happen. But I guess you need a little bit of that, naivete to do this. And so we had plenty of this, and we decided that we don't want to do something in cybersecurity because we've done enough of that. And so we said, well, what's the next thing we know something about? And I was networking. And so, okay, let's go build something in networking. And then we looked for points of kind of miscontinuity and what's new and what can we do now that you couldn't do before. And at that point, software-defined networking was something like that. You could program switches to change their behavior based on software without replacing them. And so we started thinking about that. And then, of course, all our ideas were around how to protect networks, because really that's kind of what we knew and what we liked. And so around that fundamental idea is that using new infrastructure to protect legacy networks, Guardicore was founded, and over a couple of iterations of conversations with customers and prospects and partners, we kind of zoomed in on, okay, we need to provide visibility and then controls to a network, so it became about segmentation more than anything else. And we moved away from the software-defined networking thing. So we made it work in the cloud, we made it work in the data center, we made it later work on endpoints. And really the advantage from then to even today, which Guardicore continues to be sold in the Akamai umbrella, is that you can deploy a scalable network segmentation solution that can work in any environment, but does not require you to touch the infrastructure or reroute anything or rewire anything. And it's about central control, central visibility, but very broad, in a way that software can do it today. And so that's kind of the core value proposition.
Yeah, so a phenomenal journey. And is there some, like, you've gone through that evolution of 8-10 years maybe between the two. Is there learnings that you've taken from that you've now inputted into building today?
Yeah, there's a lot, really. There's product-related things, there's organizational things, there's go-to-market. How do you partner? Who do you work with? There is areas related to how do you listen to customers and how do you engage, and so in every one of them, I think we learned a bunch. We made a bunch of mistakes. We learned from these mistakes, and you take it with you. Now, I think today that's a blessing for sure, but it's also a little bit of a curse, because a lot of the things you kind of learned how to do, especially in the technology side, are not easily replicable, or maybe should not necessarily be replicated in today's world. So organizational structure, like Tenzai is still at a fairly large scale, very flat organization. Just because we want to keep the loops very short and we want to keep development agile, and engineers are shipping way more code today, using agents to help them develop. So a lot of the learnings on some of basic team building things, some of them are very relevant, and others you're doing completely different things. But Guardicore was successful in partnering and taking products to market with the channel, and that is a big bet we're making at Tenzai, and I think that is still relevant. It was successful by listening very, very closely to what our customers are asking us to do, and choosing the right ones to listen to, and so we're doing this at Tenzai as well. So there's a lot of learnings, and look, and also running a company that is multi-home. Bunch of it in Israel, bunch of it is in the US, some parts are in EMEA. That also is like the cultural people aspect of it is interesting, and I had a bunch of lessons I took away from Guardicore, but then from Akamai as well, which is a truly global company. It's present in more locations, and I think they're doing a fabulous job of running an organization that's completely distributed but feels very, very well aligned. So there's learnings in these fields as well.
And you kind of answer the next question, but building a business back then versus now, times of, as you described, very different, right? Is there, and maybe this is more relevant on the engineering side with the use of AI, but is there one standout thing that is very different from maybe the success or mistakes you had then versus building a company now?
Yeah, there's a bunch of differences. Like I think all over the place. Obvious ones are, yes, of course, engineering is profoundly impacted, and the speed at which you can deliver product and features and capabilities is profoundly different and way higher than it used to be. You do need to think of quality and stability and etc. That's a whole other area that there's to some extent existed before, but now it's new. So we were able to ship a mature product to large enterprise customers in, I think, 1/4 of the time that we were able to do at Guardicore. But there's other changes, just related to who we are. We've done things, we've worked together, we've seen success, and so also it is kind of easier for the investor community to put wood behind that arrow and help fundraise and go faster and execute and deliver on that. So that also helps. So it's a little bit of a different journey, different trajectory, and Guardicore we raised $1 million seed round. And Tenzai we raised the $75 million seed round. So it's different. So there's a bunch of things that are different, but I also find that there are some areas in which impact of AI and other things has not been so profound, and some of the basics are still very true. I still believe that large organizations are buying technology from people, and that physical and personal connections matter, and you want to meet, and you want to have a deeper conversation, you want to really listen. And through the pandemic, through all sorts of areas, we kind of all moved to Zoom-ish engagements. I don't think that works too well. We'll get better at it, but I still feel like getting out there and meeting and spending time with your partners, with your customers, it really is very, very important, and maybe has not been impacted as much. And so I think you're building a business now. It's faster, it's different, the competition is higher, but some things are not as impacted as others, and so it's very kind of rigid. In some places it's basically the same, and in others it's completely different.
It's interesting, the customer piece, because you've had COVID, then you've got AI and all the slop that comes with it. So I do think, and the conversations I have with clients, the value in actually being in person and doing intimate events, that sort of thing, it really is key, versus an SDR or someone trying to get into a relationship by cold outbound versus someone that has and holds those networks and relationships.
Yeah, and can build that. I mean, look, still even an example of an SDR where on the surface it's been completely automated, and I know I'm flooded on LinkedIn and a lot of stuff, but we have an SDR team. And they're people, if they're reaching out personally, and I think that still matters. This personal touch is important, and being able to listen and the nuance and understand. And I think it matters, and I think it sort of creates, especially in the initial phases when technology is being adopted and there's risk there and learnings to be made. I think these human connections are really, really important still.
Agreed. And then moving on to Tenzai. So for the listeners who don't know who you are, how would you summarize that? And maybe to the non-technical listeners, how do you summarize that in really simple terms of what you do?
Yeah, Tenzai is AI-based hacker. It's but the good one, like one that works for you, that you can give an application, give your network, give your mobile app, give a chatbot or not, but whatnot. It'll go and find vulnerabilities in it. It'll exploit them. It'll see if it works, and relentlessly and at very high quality bar, at a very high safety bar, so making sure we don't break anything. But now, more recently, it's also about fixing things. I think the industry is looking at us for not just finding problems, but also helping solve the things you found, and essentially closing this window between, like, what the issues that have been detected to how long they stay open until they've been remediated. And so I think what AI brings to the table is a phenomenal ability to find issues at scale, which we as humans had, but very few, and very far apart, and at kind of, not high frequency. And now we can scale this out in time and in a number, but also in some extent, more importantly, you don't only find the problems, you're able to accelerate the solutions really quickly. And so that, I think, is what Tenzai is about. Tenzai is about scale out way to find problems, but also bring a solution that is timely and tailor built to your specific application, to your specific environment.
Makes sense. And I'm seeing in that vulnerability offensive AI pen testing space, there's a lot of companies kind of popping up at the moment. Without getting too deep, because I'm not technical, some of the listeners aren't on the technical side, are you building your own AI models, or how does it work? What's it built off?
Yeah, it's built on a combination of different agents that are finding different, responsible for different areas of the, call it product. We call the whole thing the harness. So we're choosing the right models that fit the right agent, and sometimes it's various models are used. We're building a safeguard guardrail system on top of that to make sure that they don't cause harm. We are building and investing a lot in making sure that what the agents are working on and what they're doing is clearly seen and understood by a human operator, and an intelligent human operator, and we invest a lot in communicating with him, providing feedback, providing guidance. So you have a daily with your AI hacker, like what have been you working on today, what did you what worked, where did you get stuck, like I think you should be doing this. So that's in a whole other area of interest for us. And then also, given what we've seen and given what we find, these are the solutions, and would you like me to fix it in your WAF or in code, or etc. So that's kind of the overall kind of modules, harness, architecture, if you will, of what we're building. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of investment in measuring this and benchmarking this, and it's a human capital investment, but it's also like just a dollar spend that goes into tokens and building labs and like associating that with results and the latest models. And then from a customer standpoint, he gets the system, but also he knows that it's using today the best models for the task, the most cost-effective ones.
And then on that, so for example, say I'm a customer or a potential customer, is there a common use case that you're seeing, solving, fixing at the moment that's resonating most with the customers that you do have?
Yeah, there's a number of them. Like one is around, for various reasons, organizations are required to test the security of the applications they build or applications they use on a yearly basis. So they outsource it to somebody commonly, and then they get a report back. But that's a once in a year thing, and we see more organizations understanding that if you can, you'd rather do it continuously, and you'd rather do it at high frequency and get like 12 or 365 checks a year. So that's a kind of very clear drivers. We want the testing to be done, but not just once a year. We want it to happen a lot. And then the other is, look, we're shipping more code. We have more people. they're all armed with, well, maybe not more people. More people are, the same amount of people is pushing out more code because they're using agents, and like all of that is super efficient. But the testing is still very manual. So can we automate this? Can we check the code that AI helps us create? So that's kind of another very common scenario, and maybe the third one is like for the larger organizations, they have an inside team of pen testers, and so it's not outside compliance driven. I need a report. These are people that are checking the products I'm building. They're architects or drivers, but they have very limited time span, and there's few of them, and you can deploy them very selectively. And so what we see is that if you give these internal pen testers and application security people a platform that is similar to what Cloud Code or Codex is for engineers or developers, they become 3, 4, 5 times more efficient, and they can spend their time on different tasks, more high-level things, and then the AI is just working for them, and they kind of send it on a task, it comes back, and then send it on another task, and can multiplex that in the same time. So
it makes sense.
Kind of these are the 3 areas.
Yeah, and particularly on the last one, where these folks are probably quite hard to recruit and limited supply, right? Having the ability to leverage AI, which probably frees up their time to do more critical thinking tasks, right? Whereas you can be running continuously in the background. It makes a lot of sense. And then you guys, it sounds like there's some like new advancements and changes. Like what's new at Tenzai at the moment? What can you share there?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. We've recently announced a bunch of capabilities around being able to fix the things we find. So we've in the early days, we're very focused on building the best hacker, which we did, and won a lot of like human capture the flag competitions and HackerOne first place and things like that. So we're like moving our focus from this to helping fix the issues we find, and so we announced an integration with the leading web application firewall vendors. One of them is Akamai, and others as well. So when we find an issue in, say, in a web app, we can create a web application firewall rule that can be tested, validated, and deployed at the same time. So that's one announcement. The other area is fixes in the code. So if you find a problem, one way of fixing it, probably the best way of fixing it, is just changing the source code or adding some capabilities to it. So there's a whole bunch of features around automation of that. We'll find an issue, we create a ticket, we assign it to a coding agent, the coding agent fixes that, the human reviews that. Once it's merged, we go inside, retest that, validate it, it's been fixed, and say like that vulnerability no longer exists. So there's a lot of work and announcements that we've made in these areas, but they're all around like, okay, we find it, now let's help reduce the time of exposure and fix things fast.
I feel like a lot of like security change where you have a lot of tools, especially with code scanning and vulnerabilities, but they find the vulnerability, they do the hard work there. Like, it sounds like times are changes now where people, great, but they want the remediation part, right? And tell me what's exploitable, what I need to work on, versus having a backlog of hundreds of thousands of vulnerabilities.
And ideally, not just prioritize, just help me solve it. Like, give me solutions, not problems. And so like that's it. Look, it's really hard to find the problems, but giving the solutions is important. And even if you can't do it for everything, but if you can take a bunch of it away, which AI now can, this is, I feel, really powerful. And in general, I think of cybersecurity kind of vendors and companies and all of us moving away from this concept of, look, we have a generic capability that is fixing a number of broad issues across broad set of customers, or something that is very like, and the reason for that is because we didn't have the intelligence to deploy on every single customer and find every single problem and give them a specific solution. So we had to work on like, what is the common denominator of issues? How does a common solution look like? And I think the future does not look like that. I think the future is about identifying specific vulnerabilities in your specific environment. And I mean that in the broadest sense of the word, and then bringing tailor-made solutions to your organization, to your application, to your environment, to the problems that you have and not somebody else's had, maybe. And so I think we're kind of, as a whole, as an industry, will likely move to this. And we can now do that because we have the intelligence that we can deploy on that. And hopefully over time will be cheaper and more scalable.
Yeah, and over time, will it still have the human in the loop, do you think, always, or will that change?
I don't see humans disappearing from the cybersecurity kind of loop. But I think they'll be doing very different things.
Sure.
And they'll be working differently. Exactly, and they will spend. And you can see that in software. Like you see engineers, they're just the fundamental day-to-day task has changed. The way they interact with the machine has changed. The way they ship and define, and so they became more of kind of architects and product managers and engineers than just chiseling code. And I think that's kind of what will happen in security as well.
Yeah, and on that theme, like moving forward, how do you see the next 12 months playing out? Maybe for the ecosystem, but you guys as well. Is there anything on the horizon that you're able to share?
Yeah, look, I think in general, I think we're just starting to see the impact of what AI can do on security on the offensive side.
Yeah.
The Anthropic, OpenAI news you could probably read it everywhere and hear about it everywhere, and we were not surprised. We see what these models are capable of, but I think we haven't seen, this is still very anecdotal. I think the large scale implications of even the open source, open weight models that are valuable for download from Hugging Face and other places, or you can run them on inference hardware. The implications of what these models are capable of are not yet materialized in the broader market, and I think they will be harnessed and they will be used by the bad guys, and I think it's going to be a couple of bumpy ride years ahead of us, but I think on the other side of it we will emerge with much more resilient systems, with way more secure environments, with better processes, with better tooling, which I think will be completely different. But I think the road there will be a little bit bumpy. Yeah, I think so. So we kind of need to watch out for these things.
Yeah, there you go.
Be ready.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's going to change AI 2 years ago to now, and then the next year, 2 years is going to be crazy.
Incredible. And we kind of all see what's coming. Hard to see exactly where and what kind of vulnerabilities were exposed, but I think generally, globally speaking, it's going to be an interesting phase.
For sure. Well, Pavel, it was a pleasure to have you on, so thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's been awesome to talk.
You're welcome.